Okay, out here at the range, it's windy. That is New Mexico. Gonna do a quick video again on the Beretta. One of the concerns that people have when they buy a pistol like this, or one of the reasons they buy it, is because they have weaker hands. I do a lot of women on target, and a lot of the older ladies in particular don't have the hand strength necessarily to operate a standard full-size semi-auto. And so the pop-up barrel of the 32 Tomcat or the 22 Bobcat seems very reasonable, because that way they don't have to worry about it, because they can just drop a round in. And that's good as far as it goes. There is an issue with these, and I'm using some dummy rounds that I have for 32 and for 9mm to hopefully illustrate this point. The 32 ACP is most people consider it to be inadequate for self-defense. Lucky Gunner and Military Arms Channel both did videos showing ballistically it's actually a fairly reasonable round, and a lot of the ladies like it because it is so much lower in recoil than even 38, definitely a lot lower than 9mm, 380, things like that. So I have a dummy round, and then I have 3 live rounds underneath it. And then, of course, with the Tomcat, if I'm not dropping it on the ground, with the Tomcat, you have the 1 round that you drop in to the chamber. So I have my live round, and then I have the 3 dummy rounds. So the first one will fire. The next one will go click. And now you have an issue, because with a standard pistol, like say this CZ that I have a dummy round in the magazine, if the CZ goes click instead of bang, click, because it's the dummy round, the dead round, you put your hand on top, you slap, you rack, and then you roll to make sure the dead round, in this case dummy round, comes out, let the slide go home, back to shooting. With the 32, and again, we just had that dummy round in the chamber now because we had the first round fire, so now it's a dummy round. Click. If you bought the pistol because you don't have the hand strength to operate the slide on a full-size semi-auto, good luck with this. This is a tough pistol to pull the slide back on for somebody who doesn't have issues with bigger guns. Because there's not a lot to grab on to. Also, something I found is the dead round will not eject. So I'm going to go ahead and try that, and what I'm going to get is a double feed. So there's my rack. I forgot the slap. So I roll, and nothing happens because that dummy round is still there. So when I let it go forward, now I have a double feed. I've got a live round and I have a dummy round, and now there is no slide lock, so it's not like you can do with the CZ, for example, where if you get a double feed, so the slide is, say, there, well, you can work the slide back, engage the slide lock, all right, then clear your magazine and go from there. This is a lot harder of a process now. Because I have this double feed, I can hit the magazine release. I'm going to have to really yank on that to get that to come free, and you can see the round is partially stripped out of the magazine. And then here in the chamber now I have the dummy round. The dummy round did not eject. Now I was curious, and so what I've done with the second magazine is I put in a fired 32 ACP case, and it will chamber, but it'll do the same thing. So self-defense wise, you're using your pistol. I have a live round in here now, and then I have the already fired round and a live round underneath it pushing it up. So you fire, and this time it didn't chamber it in. Dang it. There we go. All right, so I had to kind of get it to go in. The last time I tried this, it worked just fine. This time not so much. So it goes click, same problem. Except for now, say you don't want to try to do the magazine thing because you know you're going to get a double feed. You flip this up, the round stays in there. So now you have to strip the round out with your thumbnail, which isn't the easiest thing in the world. And again, you know, you fired the gun because you're dealing with a threat. You've got something, man, that's really not coming out. You've got some reason to be needing to defend yourself. You've got a round stuck in here now, and I'm gonna have to use like a key or something to get this out because it's not wanting to come out. Last one stripped out pretty easy. This one, since I had to fiddle with it, maybe that's why it's being a little more obstinate. But you've got to get this thing out while you're busy dealing with whatever the problem is that caused you to pull your gun and start shooting to begin with. Man, this is why you got to carry a knife. I didn't actually bring a knife today. So if you have somebody who is considering one of these guns and they're doing it based on the idea of, hey, I don't have to rack the slide. If there's a malfunction, they've got a real problem on their hands, because right now, for example, my keys aren't really getting this little guy out. He's stuck in there pretty good. I'm going to have to get like a tool or pencil or whatever and bash the thing out of the chamber in order to clear the malfunction to keep going. So with the Bobcat in particular, 22 ammunition not being very reliable, you know, I typically get a couple of dead rounds per 500 round box. Having that Bobcat with the nice light recoil is all well and good, but for somebody who's not really a shooter anyway, to have to deal with all of this, it's going to be an issue. And so, actually, I'm just going to strip the magazine out. Another option would be to use a revolver. This is a 9mm Charter. Now, a lot of the women that I have worked with at Women on Target over the years, they've liked the idea of a revolver because it's simple. And it is, you know, it's just as simple as can be. And there is an advantage over, say, the Tomcat or Bobcat. You know, so with the revolver, if any of these don't fire, I just keep going. Center fire ammunition being more reliable than rimfire ammunition, it shouldn't be a problem. However, I've got this Ruger LCP, or LCR rather, set up with 22 mag, and I have a round, no round, and then 3 rounds. So you fire, and your next round goes click, well, you just pull the trigger. So instead of having to worry about how do I clear this malfunction, you can just pull the trigger again. And so for people who are not shooters, who don't want to spend a lot of time at the range, or who won't spend a lot of time at the range, the Bobcat, as long as the ammunition works, the Bobcat's a fine choice. I haven't had any issues with my 32 ACP ammo, but with a Bobcat, the 22 version of this pistol, I think I'd be a little worried, because if you get a dead round when it fire, or when you try to fire, you've got this same situation. And it's just a way these pistols are designed. So the revolver may be a better option. Now, this one doesn't have the hammer, so you have that longer trigger pull. This one does have that hammer, so you can make the trigger pull easier, particularly for target shooting. But with 22 and 22 mag, they tend to have a pretty stout trigger to try to make sure that they set off the round that's in the gun. So just something to consider when you're thinking about the Bobcat or the Tomcat. More the Bobcat, but this is the Tomcat. That's what I have. Just be aware that if something goes wrong, clearing this malfunction is a lot more difficult than clearing the malfunction on something like a CZ or other standard semi-auto.